If you're shopping for a new car this holiday, consider this. In 2024, the average vehicle will cost you more than $48,000.
We know exactly what the tariff bill would look like. You know, in terms of cost for the company, we know the offsets. Next week, I think we'll be able to tell people kind of what the tariff bill is.
What is the solution? Well, the solution is you need to hang on to your car. If you are one of those people that want a new car every few years, then leave.
Right now, over 3 million brand new cars are sitting unsold across America. And no one's talking about where they're really going. You've seen the rows of untouched vehicles at your local dealership, but behind the shine is a financial disaster spiraling out of control. Cars meant to sell in 60 days are rotting for 6 months, and the industry has quietly activated an emergency plan, one you were never supposed to know about. Why are brand new cars being sold as used without anyone realizing? How far are dealers going to protect their bottom line? And what happens when automakers start crushing inventory to protect the brand? Because by the end of this video, you'll understand these vehicles aren't just unsold. The 3 million car secret. The decision didn't just reshape the automotive industry, it created the largest hidden graveyard of unwanted vehicles in American history. Right now, at this very moment, 3.04 million brand new cars, trucks, and sport utility vehicles are sitting unsold on dealer lots across America. That's more vehicles than the entire population of Chicago, gathering dust, accumulating interest charges, and slowly bleeding money from every dealership in the country. The numbers are staggering in ways that would shock most consumers. Inventory levels have exploded by 55% compared to just 1 year ago. That's more than 1 million additional vehicles that dealers are now forced to carry. Each unsold vehicle costs dealers approximately $800 to $1,200 per month in financing charges alone, before factoring in insurance, lot space, and the relentless march of depreciation. A single dealership carrying 200 unsold vehicles faces monthly carrying costs exceeding $200,000. Take Ford Escape as a perfect example of this crisis in action. Dealerships across America are currently sitting on nearly 58,000 unsold 2024 Escape units, representing more than 6 months of market supply. Meanwhile, Ford continues shipping nearly 2025 model year Escapes to those same overwhelmed dealers. The mathematical impossibility of this situation creates a financial nightmare that most consumers never see. The consequences would ripple far beyond individual dealerships. Entire automotive supply chains hung in the balance as a completely different kind of mathematics was being calculated behind closed doors. The more you look at it, the more it feels like a system built to keep buyers in the dark. If this information shocked you even a little, hit like so the algorithm doesn't bury it, and subscribe to our channel. The mathematics of desperation. Corporate boardrooms across Detroit buzzed with urgent calculations that would have seemed impossible just 2 years ago. Chief financial officers found themselves creating spreadsheets, comparing the cost of continuing production against the expense of massive layoffs. The numbers revealed a truth that automotive executives had never faced. Sometimes building cars costs less than stopping. The precise mathematics of dealer desperation follows predictable patterns. Month 1 of unsold inventory represents manageable concern. Month 3 triggers serious anxiety. Month 6 creates financial crisis. Month 8, like Tommy Henderson experienced, forces impossible decisions between bankruptcy and liquidation. Floor plan financing typically charges dealers between 5 and 8% annually on vehicle inventory loans. A $40,000 vehicle costs dealers approximately $267 monthly in financing charges alone. Add mandatory insurance at roughly $50 monthly, lot space allocation worth another $75, and depreciation averaging 2% monthly, and each unsold vehicle bleeds approximately $600 from dealer cash flow every 30 days. Multiply those figures across hundreds of vehicles per dealership, then across thousands of dealerships nationwide, and the scale of financial hemorrhaging becomes clear. Industry analysts estimate that current inventory levels are costing American car dealers collectively over $4 billion annually in carrying costs alone. Manufacturing workers face production cuts as companies attempt to reduce inventory flowing to overwhelmed dealers. The United Auto Workers Union reported that over 47,000 automotive manufacturing jobs were eliminated or reduced to part-time status directly due to inventory management crises at major manufacturers. And the numbers revealed something no one expected. Geography wasn't determining demand anymore, but sophisticated algorithms were beginning to predict exactly where every unwanted vehicle could find buyers willing to pay premium prices. The incentive illusion, your next car purchase, the price you see isn't the price they need. It's the price of their desperation. When dealers start offering 0% financing, $5,000 cashback rebates, and employee pricing to the general public, they're not being generous. They're implementing stage 1 of a carefully orchestrated survival strategy that most consumers never recognize. 0% financing offers represent one of the most expensive tactics dealers deploy during inventory crises. While customers celebrate avoiding interest payments, dealers absorb those costs directly or through manufacturer support programs that come with strict conditions. A 0% loan on a $30,000 vehicle costs approximately $4,500 over 5 years, money that comes directly from dealer profit margins or manufacturer subsidies. Employee pricing deals sound exclusive and generous, but represent dealers selling vehicles below their actual cost basis. Employee pricing typically means selling vehicles for 2 to 3% below dealer invoice, creating guaranteed losses on every transaction. Dealers accept these losses because monthly carrying costs exceed the per-vehicle loss on immediate sales. Consumer excitement over these amazing deals masks the underlying reality that these incentives represent dealer panic rather than generosity. Customers who understand this dynamic gain significant negotiating power because dealers genuinely need to move inventory more than they need to maintain traditional profit margins. Now, the entire traditional automotive pricing model hung in the balance as dealers prepared to implement stage 2 tactics that would shock customers who thought they understood how car buying actually works. The overnight transformation. Sarah Martinez brought her Honda Accord to the dealership service department for routine maintenance and discovered the vehicle she'd driven as a loaner had only 23 miles on the odometer. 3 months later, she saw that same vehicle listed as certified pre-owned with 2,800 miles and a price reduction of $4,000 from its original new car sticker price. The overnight transformation of new vehicles into used inventory represents one of the automotive industry's most widespread but least discussed practices. Dealerships convert unsold new vehicles into loaner fleets, demo vehicles, or management cars for periods ranging from 30 to 90 days. Once these vehicles accumulate minimal mileage, they legally become used cars and can be sold at reduced prices without admitting failure to sell them as new. Loaner fleet conversion happens systematically when new vehicle inventory exceeds acceptable levels. Service departments suddenly have an abundance of current model year vehicles available for customers during repairs or maintenance visits. These vehicles might be driven 200 to 800 miles over several months before returning to sales inventory as pre-owned vehicles. Price differentials between new and slightly used versions of identical vehicles create consumer confusion that dealers exploit strategically. A vehicle with 1,500 miles might cost $5,000 less than an identical new model, representing genuine savings for informed customers while allowing dealers to move aging inventory at reduced loss levels. Certified pre-owned programs legitimize this practice by offering manufacturer warranties and quality guarantees on vehicles that were never actually owned by retail customers. These programs transform inventory management problems into marketing advantages while maintaining customer satisfaction and dealer profitability. Across the country, sales managers were implementing the same strategy while preparing even more dramatic tactics that would fundamentally change how automotive inventory moves between dealerships. The underground network. The call came at 2 in the morning, which meant serious business in automotive wholesale circles. Jake Sullivan, who managed inventory for 3 dealerships across Northern California, needed to move 47 pickup trucks before month end. The dealer on the other end of the line, operating 4 lots in Texas, needed exactly that inventory mix to satisfy customer demand that California couldn't generate. Inter-dealership trading operates as a vast underground network that most consumers never see, but which moves thousands of vehicles monthly across regional markets. When local demand fails to materialize, dealers coordinate with partners hundreds or thousands of miles away to exchange unwanted inventory for vehicles that match their customer demographics. Regional demand arbitrage creates opportunities for dealers willing to invest in transportation logistics. Luxury sedans that sit unsold in rural markets command premium prices in affluent urban areas. All-wheel drive vehicles access to Southwest dealers sell immediately when shipped to Mountain West markets facing winter weather demands. Convertibles stranded in northern climates find eager buyers in southern states, with longer warm seasons. Transportation costs for vehicle relocation typically range from $500 to $1,500 per vehicle, depending on distance and shipping method. Dealers absorb these costs because regional price differences often exceed transportation expenses by significant margins. A luxury vehicle worth $35,000 in an oversupplied market might sell for $42,000 in a supply-constrained region. Digital platforms facilitate these trading relationships through secure dealer-only networks that operate parallel to consumer-facing automotive websites. Dealers post excess inventory with detailed specifications, pricing, and availability timelines. Partner dealers browse these listings like private automotive catalogs, negotiating terms that would seem impossible to retail customers. That's when the real plan emerged. Dealers weren't just trading cars anymore. They were creating a shadow automotive economy that operated entirely outside traditional manufacturer distribution channels, preparing vehicles for final disposal methods that would shock most consumers. The point of no return. Michael Chen stared at the spreadsheet that would end his family's 30-year relationship with automotive retail sales. The numbers were brutally clear: 138 vehicles sitting unsold for more than 6 months, representing over $4.2 million in depreciated inventory that would never generate sufficient profit to justify continued ownership. Dealer acceptance that normal sales channels have failed triggers the automotive industry's most dramatic transformation. Stage 4 represents the point where traditional automotive retail relationships dissolve, replaced by wholesale liquidation strategies that prioritize financial survival over customer relationships, brand loyalty, or community presence. Success rates for different liquidation stages reveal why dealers progress systematically through these options. Stage 1 incentives move approximately 30 to 40% of problematic inventory. Stage 2 conversions eliminate another 20 to 30%. Stage 3 trading resolves 15 to 20% of remaining issues. Stage 4 liquidation handles whatever remains, regardless of financial consequences. Cultural shift from relationship-based to transaction-based automotive sales fundamentally alters how dealers interact with their communities. Long-term customer relationships become secondary to immediate inventory movement. Brand loyalty programs lose relevance when survival requires liquidating brand-specific inventory regardless of manufacturer preferences. What came next would test every relationship in the automotive industry as dealers prepared to enter a marketplace that operates completely outside traditional automotive retail channels, where vehicles disappear from public view into a $3 billion underground economy that most consumers never know exists. The $3 billion secret. What if the biggest automotive marketplace in America operates completely outside public view? Every week, while consumers browse dealer lots and negotiate prices, a parallel automotive universe processes hundreds of thousands of vehicles through a sophisticated network that most car buyers never hear about, never see, and definitely never understand. The United States vehicle auction market generated $3.32 billion in 2023, moving 13.84 million units annually through channels that operate entirely separate from traditional retail automotive sales. This massive industry grew from local wholesale operations into a global marketplace that now influences vehicle pricing, availability, and distribution patterns across every automotive market in America. Industry professionals operating in this shadowy parallel economy include specialized auctioneers, logistics coordinators, vehicle inspectors, and wholesale buyers who process automotive history daily. These professionals understand vehicle values, market trends, and disposal strategies that remain completely invisible to retail customers paying sticker prices at traditional dealerships. Vehicles disappearing from consumer sight into wholesale channels follow predictable pathways that dealers know intimately but rarely discuss publicly. Failed retail inventory moves from dealer lots to auction facilities, where wholesale buyers, rental companies, export specialists, and recyclers compete for vehicles that couldn't find retail buyers at any price. Average price differential between retail and auction sales reveals the true cost of traditional automotive marketing. Vehicles that dealers list for $35,000 routinely sell at auction for $22,000 to $27,000, representing the difference between optimistic retail hopes and realistic wholesale market values. Deep within the auction industry, different rules governed automotive value based on wholesale demand rather than retail retail aspiration, creating opportunities for buyers who understood these market dynamics. The Mannheim Monopoly. Rebecca Thompson drove her battered pickup truck through the gates of Mannheim, Atlanta, knowing she was entering automotive wholesale territory where her small used car lot would compete against multinational corporations, rental fleet buyers, and international exporters for vehicles that might save or destroy her family business. Cox Automotive and its Mannheim auction subsidiary control approximately 60% of physical automotive auction volume in America, operating over 100 auction facilities that process millions of vehicles annually. This market dominance creates pricing influence and inventory control that affects every automotive transaction, from new car production planning to used car lot inventory selection. Regional auction facility networks provide geographic coverage that enables efficient vehicle transportation and distribution across American markets. Major metropolitan areas host multiple auction facilities that specialize in different vehicle types, condition categories, and buyer demographics. Rural facilities focus on pickup trucks, agricultural vehicles, and fleet cars that serve local market demands. Small dealers like Rebecca face intimidating competition from buyers representing national used car chains, rental companies with specific vehicle replacement needs, and international exporters seeking particular vehicle types for overseas markets. Bidding strategies require sophisticated understanding of market values, transportation costs, and resale opportunities that take years to develop. Inventory management at large auction facilities resembles automotive airports where thousands of vehicles arrive, undergo processing, and depart weekly. Logistics coordination involves vehicle transportation, storage, inspection, photography, and preparation for sale presentation that requires military-level precision and scheduling. The numbers revealed something no one expected. Auctions weren't just moving cars anymore. They were creating market intelligence and pricing data that manufacturers used to plan production and dealers used to make inventory decisions that affected the entire automotive industry. The rental fleet Phoenix, Enterprise Rent-A-Car's fleet manager surveyed 40,000 vehicles scheduled for disposal auction, knowing that these former rental cars would begin new lives as used car lot inventory, international exports, or recycling materials. The rental industry's systematic vehicle lifecycle management drives a significant portion of auction volume while influencing used car market conditions nationwide. Consumer frustration with former rental vehicles in used car markets stems from legitimate concerns about maintenance quality, driving abuse, and unknown accident history. Rental companies prioritize cost control over meticulous maintenance, leading to vehicles that appear well-maintained but may have hidden problems that surface after purchase by unsuspecting consumers. Fleet vehicle lifecycle analysis reveals systematic patterns that auction buyers exploit for profit opportunities. Rental companies typically dispose of vehicles before major maintenance becomes necessary, creating auction inventory with predictable mechanical condition and remaining useful life. Experienced buyers target these vehicles for resale to customers seeking reliable transportation at used car prices. Seasonal auction activity reflects rental industry demand cycles that create predictable inventory patterns. Summer vacation season requires expanded rental fleets, leading to spring vehicle acquisitions at auction. Winter demand reduction drives autumn disposal patterns when rental companies liquidate excess inventory before year-end financial reporting. Quality perception shaped by rental fleet experiences influences consumer attitudes toward specific vehicle models and brands. Vehicles popular with rental companies may suffer resale value penalties due to consumer bias against former rental inventory, creating pricing opportunities for buyers willing to accept rental vehicle history. The entire used car market would soon reflect these auction dynamics as digital transformation enabled new players to participate in automotive wholesale markets that had been restricted to industry insiders for decades. The digital disruption? AutoBidmaster's founder watched online auction activity exceed $100 million in a single week. Knowing that digital platforms were fundamentally changing who could participate in automotive wholesale markets that had been restricted to licensed dealers with physical auction facility access for nearly a century. Traditional auction house employees adapting to technology faced learning curves that challenged decades of in-person automotive expertise. Auctioneers skilled at reading physical crowd reactions and managing live bidding dynamics had to master digital platforms where bidder emotions and financial limits remained hidden behind computer screens. Online salvage auction market growth from $15 billion to projected $67.9 billion by 2030 represents one of the fastest expanding segments in automotive commerce. Damaged vehicles, insurance total losses, and repossessed inventory find new life through digital platforms that connect sellers with buyers across global unavailable markets. International participation growth through digital platforms opened American automotive auctions to buyers from countries seeking specific vehicle types unavailable in their domestic markets. Japanese buyers sought American pickup trucks, European buyers targeted classic American muscle cars, and developing nation importers purchased fleet vehicles for taxi and commercial use. Artificial intelligence integration enabled automated bidding systems that could participate in hundreds of auctions simultaneously based on predetermined criteria for vehicle type, condition, price ranges, and transportation logistics. These systems processed auction information faster than human bidders, while executing strategies too complex for manual implementation. Meanwhile, on factory floors around the world, manufacturers were watching these auction results and discovering that some vehicles were destined for international markets that American consumers never knew existed. Markets willing to pay premium prices for vehicles that failed in American retail channels. The international escape route. What happened next would alter the global automotive landscape forever. While American consumers rejected certain vehicle models as unsuitable for domestic markets, buyers in Nigeria, Ghana, and the Philippines competed aggressively for these same vehicles, paying premium prices that often exceeded their original American retail values. American automotive excess becoming an international opportunity creates economic relationships that most domestic consumers never understand. Vehicles that fail to attract buyers in saturated American markets become highly desirable imports in developing nations where automotive choice remains limited, and American vehicles represent status symbols, reliability, and technological advancement. International automotive export volume reveals the massive scale of this global redistribution system. American automotive exports exceeded 1.4 million vehicles annually, with significant portions representing former dealer inventory that couldn't find domestic buyers. Port facilities in California, Texas, and Florida process thousands of these vehicles weekly for destinations across Africa, Asia, and South America. Specific country preferences for American vehicle types follow predictable patterns based on infrastructure, economic conditions, and cultural factors. West African nations favor large pickup trucks and sport utility vehicles suitable for challenging road conditions. Caribbean islands prefer fuel-efficient sedans and compact vehicles appropriate for island geography and limited fuel availability. Developing nation consumers accessing previously unavailable vehicles through these export channels gain transportation options that improve economic opportunities, social mobility, and quality of life in ways that American consumers take for granted in mature automotive markets. Behind closed doors, everything was different. Some vehicles were never meant to leave America, destined instead for disposal methods that prioritize brand protection over financial recovery. The $25 billion graveyard. Carlos Martinez operated the crusher at Detroit Auto Recycling, watching a pristine 2023 luxury sedan worth $60,000 new disappear into cubes of compacted metal worth $800 in scrap value. The mathematics of automotive recycling revealed economic realities that challenge every assumption about vehicle value and disposal. Automotive recycling, as the 16th largest United States industry, processes more vehicles annually than most people realize, while generating $25 billion in economic activity. This massive recycling infrastructure employs over 140,000 people at more than 9,000 locations nationwide, creating economic activity that extends far beyond traditional automotive manufacturing. 12.6 million vehicles recycled yearly represents a steady stream of automotive materials that supply steel mills, aluminum foundries, and parts manufacturers with raw materials worth significantly more than the vehicle's final retail values. Recycling efficiency rates approaching 80% mean that most vehicle components find new life in different applications. Environmental activists witnessing massive automotive waste streams recognize recycling as environmental protection that prevents automotive materials from entering landfills while reducing demand for new material extraction and processing. Recycling 4 tires reduces carbon dioxide emissions by approximately 323 pounds, equivalent to 18 gallons of gasoline consumption. Automotive recycling greenhouse gas reduction exceeds 30 million metric tons annually, representing environmental benefits equivalent to removing millions of vehicles from active road use. These environmental benefits occur automatically through recycling operations without requiring consumer behavior changes or government mandates. Now, the entire environmental impact of automotive overproduction hung in the balance as manufacturers faced decisions that would prioritize brand value over environmental responsibility in ways that shocked industry observers. The Steel Phoenix? Jennifer Kim, environmental compliance manager at General Motors, reviewed destruction orders for 300 unsold electric vehicles that would be crushed and recycled rather than sold at discount prices that might damage brand perception in emerging electric vehicle markets. Corporate executives calculating destruction versus recycling economics face complex decisions involving brand protection, environmental compliance, financial recovery, and market positioning. Sometimes, destroying inventory costs less than discounting it when brand value preservation outweighs short-term financial recovery. 2006 steel recovery statistics illustrate the massive scale of automotive material recycling. Automotive recycling produced enough steel to manufacture 48 million utility poles, representing 1/3 of all utility poles in America. This steel recycling supported infrastructure development while reducing demand for new steel production. Infrastructure development powered by recycled automotive steel creates economic benefits that extend far beyond environmental protection. Bridge construction, building frameworks, and transportation systems incorporate recycled automotive materials while reducing costs and environmental impact compared to new material production. Energy savings calculations demonstrate that recycling automotive materials requires 75% less energy than producing equivalent materials from raw sources. These energy savings reduce industrial carbon emissions while maintaining material quality standards that meet manufacturing specifications. Across the ocean, other nations were implementing different automotive disposal strategies that prioritized material recovery and reuse over quick disposal methods that American facilities often employed. The Brand Protection Protocol. Martin Webb, Lexus corporate strategist, signed the authorization that would send 247 unsold luxury vehicles directly to destruction rather than auction, protecting brand exclusivity and resale values, even though each vehicle represented a $60,000 loss that shareholders would never understand. Corporate executives choosing brand value over financial recovery implement protocols that prioritize long-term market positioning over short-term profit recovery. Luxury manufacturers particularly guard against inventory liquidation that might damage brand perception or create market confusion about vehicle values and exclusivity. Manufacturer destruction versus discount economics analysis reveals complex calculations involving immediate financial loss against long-term brand value protection. Discounting luxury vehicles by 50% might generate $25,000 immediate recovery, but could damage brand perception worth millions in future sales. Brand value protection costs include not only the vehicle's manufacturing cost, but also dealer compensation, transportation expenses, and disposal facility fees. These total costs often exceed the potential recovery from heavily discounted sales, making destruction economically rational despite seeming wasteful. Historical parallels include previous brand protection incidents where manufacturers chose destruction over market damage. Fashion industry precedents established legal frameworks for brand protection through product destruction that automotive manufacturers now employ routinely. Pattern recognition reveals that luxury brands implement destruction protocols more frequently than mass market manufacturers due to higher brand value sensitivity and customer expectation management. Mass market brands typically exhaust discounting options before considering destruction. The automotive industry's greatest secret wasn't about cars that never sold. It was about cars that were never meant to survive, destroyed to protect brand values that exceeded the vehicle's individual worth, revealing an economic system where perception matters more than physical reality. Now you know the truth. Some cars aren't just unsold, they're buried. If this revealed something no dealership would ever admit, give it a like, leave a comment with your take, and hit subscribe. We've got more truths coming, and they won't be comfortable.